Yeah. So this one is going to be a little tricky because this one has like shit written all over it. And I'm just going to be honest with this one here. And I'm going to start off with like being honest to tell you the story is to try and create more dialogue as opposed to canceling things or shaming people or whatever. So I'm going to give you a story of one of my really shitty traits that I do so instinctively, a knee jerk, so deeply ingrained that I'm embarrassed and I'm ashamed of doing it. And I used to use the saying that it works until it doesn't work. And years ago, I used to play poker, and I'd drive up to the casino and I would sit for, 24 hours at a time and sit and play poker. And one of the things about playing poker that people know is it's really a people's game, not a card game. The faster that you can recognize your opponent's tells and their vulnerabilities and their traits, the more money you'll make off them and the more you'll send them on to tilt. And to tilt for non-poker people means they lose their shit. They start chasing cards. They start not trusting their gut instinct. They go away from their game. They get emotionally involved. They get upset. They make silly decisions. And that's exactly what you want to do for a poker player. So basically, the more you can trigger a poker player and be passive aggressive about it, the better off that you'll be in controlling that poker player and better your chances of making more money. And I was insanely good at this. And one of the things I realized I could do is I could be passive aggressive with comments towards people and try and keep it light. So rather than being blatantly obvious by calling people pigs or you're a smelly pig or, whatever, I'd say, oh, look at the lipstick on this little piggy. Oh, he kissed me again. Oh, and I would make these small little jabs, but basically I'm calling the guy a pig. But at the same time, I'm doing it passive aggressively. And then if you push back on it, my go-to was always like, oh boy, slow down there. Like, wow, like somebody's a little emotional right now. Like, didn't have any daddy love or, like take your, your issues to your therapist. This is a poker table. And I would just kind of like use light passive aggressive humor just to make fun of them until I'm like, okay, listen, slow down, Chubbs. I'm just joking here, right? And of course, I'd say Chubbs because he might be overweight. And I would do things instinctively to pick up on their deepest vulnerabilities or insecurities. So, for example, if somebody was overweight, I would fat shame in a passive aggressive way. Now, in no way am I advocating right now for fat shaming, and I know that doing this was absolutely abhorrent. But what I'm trying to convey here is why I did it. And I did it to control or oppress or elicit a response that I wanted to manipulate that person so that way I would benefit. And again, it worked until it doesn't work. So fast forward, last night I'm watching Survivor, and one of the contestants on Survivor that I really, really didn't like, and I didn't like her for a multiple of reasons, but the easy one to go to was that A, she was overweight, and number two, she was a lesbian. And I would catch myself in the trope of, fat shaming her and then like calling into question her sexuality, which is just juvenile and stupid. And I know it's juvenile and stupid. And I don't have anything against homosexuals or people who are overweight. That's, in fact, I'm probably an advocate for both of those, understanding that these people need more space. But it's the easiest way that my ingrained programming that I have to unlearn in layers and layers and layers to catch myself, to stop myself from being so mean and so judgmental and just abhorrently awful with trying to fat shame or sexually judge or lambaste somebody because of their sexuality, because they're gay or not. When in reality, it had nothing to do with her weight. It had nothing to do with her sexuality. I didn't like her personality traits. I didn't like how she was manipulative. I didn't like how she fake cried and she was inauthentic and how she was manipulative to people. And in fact, what I didn't like about her was that I was being the bully towards the bully. I was trying to be the advocate for the underdog because like I could just see how abhorrently evil she was being. And the easiest thing, rather than me to call into question her character, or her lack of character, or her, just narcissistic traits, was to make the easy trope of going straight to her weight and to her sexuality. And that just doesn't work. And I got to catch myself over and over again doing this, because I do it so instinctively that I got to actually think about it, stop myself and go, wait a minute, why did I just think that? Or why did I say that? Or why did I stop myself from saying that? Because I don't care about their sexuality. I don't care about their weight. I don't care about their looks or whatever it is that I want to, you know, to demean them for. But it's the easiest way. And then I start looking at that and taking inventory because of this. And now I look at that, how did I treat people of color? How did I treat people who are visible minorities? The exact same way. And it was the easiest way to go at that one thing, because I know that they were vulnerable towards that one topic or that one issue. And I would use and exploit that to be able to oppress them or to shame them or to guilt them or humiliate them or whatever it was in my twisted little world that I was trying to manipulate them for my cause. And that's just abhorrently evil that I would do something like that. But that's what I used to do. I think we all do that on a certain degree. Pardon me. And I think the only difference is that if we can catch it, if we can actually walk it back and think, why do I do that? It's a juvenile response. It's knee jerk. It's petty. It's so ridiculously stupid that I would do something like that or say something mean and hurtful that way. And that's just not who I want to be as a person or what I'm committed to being as a human being, in being inclusive to everybody out there, knowing that we all are flawed. And yet I'm 50 years old and I still have to walk myself backwards from the knee-jerk programmed, it works until it doesn't work kind of upbringing that I've had, and then take off the layers and then be able to just catch myself. And then the shame kicks in. And then I was like, why do I say stupid shit like that? Like, why do I behave this way? Why do I have these thoughts? I'm not a hateful person. That's a hateful thought that I'm having. And I have it like a lot, that I have to walk back and realize that I'm not angry at the person because of the traits I'm picking them on. I'm angry on the traits that they have that probably reflect what I carry that I don't like about myself. And I see it in them. And then I try and bully them, which is really truly just bullying myself into not having these traits or being able to be a better person and not being that person. And it's like that. It's that fast. It's that immediate. And when it happens, if I don't catch it, then I'm right back to where I was. Only when I can catch it and say, why would I say something like that? And then have to walk it back and figure out, what is that person to me? Who is that person to me? Who is that person in my life, in my past? Was that a person who used to bully me? Was that a person that was my parent or a teacher or a coach or somebody that I didn't like? And the traits they have are very similar to the emotions that I felt when I was in those positions, when I was bullied or suppressed or made fun of or demeaned, or just any of the emotions that I would feel when that happened to me. And then I gotta, there it is. And again, it happens just like that. And if I don't catch it, I'm worse off. So I wanted to ask you if you've had these thoughts about yourself that I've had as well, and if you've done the exact same thing. So to be clear, I'm not looking for people to share, oh, I was racist. And I've used the words, racist words, towards people, cultures, religions, you name it. Like, this is what I did to trigger people, to be mean back to them if I felt that they were being mean to me or if I was threatened. And again, it's just so knee-jerk that my little ego is so fragile that it needs to come out and protect me every single time it deems that there's a threat out there to keep me safe, and I need to go on the attack And rather than be defensive, I need to go out and attack the other person. And I've developed an insane skill set of attacking people based on their insecurities or vulnerabilities. I'm insanely good at it, and it's not a good thing. Like I said, it worked until it didn't work, and now it just doesn't work. And now it's about really unraveling those traits, catching them, realizing I'm better off not to use them, better off not to have those thoughts, and figure out where they're coming from, and then basically heal that wound, and then allow my ego to say, hey, listen, it's okay. Like, I got this one. We don't need to feel threatened by this. This isn't threatening to us. This is not going to hurt us. You're a 50-year-old man right now. You're not an 8-year-old on the playground. And then be able to, call back and just say, hey, yeah, I get the fact that you're upset at me. Whatever I did, I apologize for. Or whatever somebody's attacking me for, rather than me go on the offensive, and just get back there and just, understand where they're coming from, or what they've been triggered for, because obviously they're just a mirror of me. So those are a couple thoughts that I thought I'd share after my experience with Survivor last night. I do love the fact that Gabler won and donated the whole entire $1 million to veterans that obviously need a lot more care than what we're able to give them, especially for them giving a portion of their lives in service to freedom, coming back, having PTSD, CPTSD, mental illnesses, physical illnesses. And the government just seems to be more enthusiastic of giving $45 billion more in a budget than what they asked for, than giving that money to servicemen and women who protect the country, which is just abhorrent. That money should be going to making sure that these people come back and have functioning lives versus being shells of their former selves. So good for you, Gabler, for doing that. Everybody on that show was just absolutely humbled by his generosity and making history of being the first Survivor winner to donate the entire $1 million towards that cause. So good for you, Gabler. From one Canadian to an American, I like where your head's at, and thank you for thinking outside the box, thinking of others who desperately need it more than us, and for spreading the love.